Ahoy, me fellow knitters! Angela from Creating It here, and so glad you could join me and me trusty sidekick Coco here on our voyage this day. Today we're going to teach you the fisherman's rib. That's right, the fisherman's rib. And this here is a swatch that Coco made himself so you could see what it looks like. If you look closely, it looks like a knit one and a purl one, but it's going to be a little more tricky than that, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So I'm just going to be needing 1 gold coin from you to board me ship, yeah? Thank you very much, and I will give it to Coco here for safekeeping. Does not look like he wants that job, so I will hang on to it myself. So step up the stairs and join us on our voyage as we learn the fisherman's rib. Okay, let's take a closer look here at this fisherman's rib so you can see exactly what it looks like. This has a ultra super soft, cushy, fluffy texture to it. And it's not the yarn, it's actually the pattern that creates this effect. And the super cool thing about this is it is the same on the back as it is the front. So there is no wrong and right side. And if you can knit and purl, you can do this. There's just going to be a little twist to it, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. So just make sure you cast on an even number of stitches. In this case, I cast on 18. So one rule of thumb is when you go to work your very first stitch, you want to make sure to always purl your first stitch. This is going to make sure that the pattern stays uniform and keeps it going. So go ahead and purl that first stitch. Okay. And then here is where the little twist comes in. So what we're going to do is knit the next stitch. But instead of knitting through the stitch like we normally would, we're going to go to the opening below the stitch right down here. So you can see you have your stitch here, and then you can see this little opening that's right here underneath. That's where we're going to knit through, right there, okay? So go ahead and go underneath, and you're just going to go right through the middle of that. Just right through it, no fancy trick to it or anything. So go through right through that, yarn over like you normally would, okay? And then let this just fall off. And don't worry, it cinches right up. Okay, and now we're going to purl. And you're just going to purl like you normally would. No special trick to that. Okay, and then again, every time you go to knit the next stitch, you are going to go through that opening underneath. So just go through that, yarn over, and then come through it like this. And then just let that fall off. And essentially what we're doing is we are purling, knitting, just like you would normally, back and forth. The only thing is we're going to be going through the opening under the stitch when we knit instead of through the stitch, if that makes sense. So we'll do it a couple more times here. So purl. Okay. And then knit through that opening down here underneath. Okay. Then purl. Okay. And then knit through that opening. You can kind of see how it's a V right there, and you just go right through that. Okay. Now there's something else you have to know too, and I'm going to show you when we get to the very last 2 stitches. Okay, so now we've gotten to the very last 2 stitches of our row, and you want to make sure when you get to the very last 2 stitches, you are going to purl both of them. Purl 1, purl 2. And that's the end of your row right there. And you can see here, that's how you do the fisherman's row. So just to recap, always make sure the first stitch of your row we had purled. Then we knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, all the way to the end. And then the very last 2 stitches, we purled both of those. And then you would just do the same thing every time you did a row. Purl the first row, work your pattern till the last 2 stitches, and then you would purl the last 2 stitches. And then you just keep doing that all the way up as long as you want your garment. Land ho! Now the fisherman's rib you know. Don't be afraid to put your questions in the comments below, and away you go.